So the only limitations that exist are something that we put on ourselves. And jealousy and envy are a really good way to show us where we have found a limitation that maybe we haven't looked at in a while. Maybe it hasn't surfaced in a while. It's a really good one to look at. We will all have this. If we really question inside today, when the last time you felt jealous of somebody for some reason? And let yourself really spend time with that when we mantra today. Let yourself get really curious as to what exactly triggered that in me. What was it in me that jealousy found a way? What was my insecurity? What was my fear? What was my anger? What pride did it hurt? You know, when we're growing ourselves like on a journey like this, what we're really opening up to is a way of getting to know myself that isn't necessarily externally validated in knowing. So it's where I find my own internal validation of, do I feel good enough? If there was nobody around to praise me or give out to me, would I feel good enough? If I didn't ask anybody, if nobody saw me do it, would I feel good enough or would I feel not good enough? When we're speaking about spiritual growth in that kind of context, that's really what we're talking about. You know, we start at the point where we take a reading from what we're taught. You know, we take a reading of what feels like successful, what feels good enough, what feels healthy enough, what feels whatever. We take a little reading of that. But when we start getting into areas of spiritual growth doesn't have limitations in that way. It's quite an infinite space that we can grow into. So things, for example, that there are certain parts of me that have grown beyond what I thought possible. So had I stuck with my external experiences of something, I might have stopped there. I might not have let myself explore further than that. But when I let myself dig around and grow a little bit more spiritually, I found myself experiencing things, or experiencing the world, or even experiencing people in a way that I didn't even know was available when I started. You know, that lovely ability of connecting with somebody and connecting at the level of soul. I mean, I had read about those things. I'm sure I'd even spoken those kind of words. But I didn't have anywhere near the ability to experience that as I do now. And I hope that I can grow that more so that in 10 years' time or 20 years' time, my ability to experience that will be even more expanded. Far beyond what I can even imagine now. So when we look at growing in a spiritual way, it's really good that we open ourselves up without a limitation as to how we might grow that. If we sit in it with any kind of idea of limitation or any feeling of holding back or holding in, then we're limiting our ability to grow or experience that. So in the same way that when we find something like jealousy or we find something like envy, we're finding in that a limitation. We can't grow beyond that until we find the root of it, until we find that thread of it. But then we're free to grow beyond that. We're free to find out what's beyond that when I really look at it, when I really heal it and clear it from my system. When I take out all beliefs connected with that. When I take out all values connected to that I thought were true, but now when I look from this perspective of myself now, I change those. We get to bring ourselves into an area that we didn't know existed before then. At the level of our experience, we didn't know that it was there. So we have to be open to letting ourselves find that out. Following the thread of an emotion, whenever it comes up, whenever we notice something is triggered in some way, following the thread of that and see where it leads us. So it can be jealousy, envy, insecurity, anger, fear, sadness, whatever it is. Letting ourselves become really, really curious about that. Letting ourselves follow that thread until we find, okay, that's what that's about. That's how that started, or what incident happened, or what belief I had, or something. A lot of the time when we have reactions like this, like jealousy or envy or anger, it's because something conflicted with a belief that we have. We can feel hard done by, we can feel victimized. And sometimes if we adjust the belief or we adjust the mindset, it's enough to break through that. You know, what we might feel very correct about or right about. They should not have done that to me. Or things like this, yeah? Okay. We're free to change our mindset in that. How we hear that.